Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we are checking out Aska. This is an open world survival game set in the Viking Age with the added twist of also being a colony management simulator. So beyond the basics of survival crafting, you'll be gathering villagers, setting them up with jobs, and tending to their needs as they work directly alongside you, building and growing your settlement together. Now the game initially launched back in June 2024. They have had quite a few big updates in the time since then, resulting in what is now a mostly positive rating over on Steam. Sand Sailor Studios has sponsored today's video. They asked me to tell you about the game, along with share some of the new stuff that has been added over the past year and change. And if you like what you see, of course, check out those links in the description below. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at the game. Okay, so yes, it is a survival crafting game. The core foundation is going to be what you expect. You start with nothing, actually washing up on the beach. There is the added bonus of this big creepy monster staring at you from the ocean to kind of set the mood of your oncoming adventure. And then from that all too familiar starting point, you go around picking up some of the basic resources, gathering sticks, rocks, and fiber, fighting off the occasional floating sprout creature in the process until you can then build your first campfire. Campfire lets you, of course, warm yourselves up, providing you a nice temporary boost and helping fend off some of the colder environments because the game does have temperature as something you have to consider. Now, after your campfire, you can craft your initial tools, putting together an axe and a pickaxe, which you will use to hack away at some large rocks and chop down a few trees, after which you should just about have what you need to build your first shelter, which is for resting, taking a nap, and escaping the elements. Now, building in this game is actually done in several phases. So the first thing you do is you place down the template of whatever you want to build. After that, you actually have to level the land, kind of flattening out the ground beneath it, on which you place the foundation, followed by the structure itself on top of the foundation. And you actually build these in multiple phases. So you have to manually bring resources over for each of these steps, having to carry the larger logs on your shoulder and bringing them one at a time. So you place the resources down for the foundation, you build away, foundation set, you put the rest of the structure, you bring the resources for that, build away, and then the structure is complete. Now, once you have built your first shelter, yeah, you can rest there, you can sit by the campfire, whatever, but it's actually after that point that you are then able to construct what is probably one of the most important items in this game, and that is the Eye of Odin. This is actually what you use to summon villagers to join your tribe. What you have to do is you bring 5 Jotun blood to the eye, and these Jotun blood are originally found right where you wash up on the beach, but then also at these various deposits scattered all around the game's island. You bring the 5 blood, you put them into the eye, and then you consume them, at which point you are presented with a couple of different options to select from. Specifically, until later in the game when you upgrade the eye, you're going to start with having 2 choices, 2 different named villagers, and you get to see a couple of their perks. And that's where the kind of other interesting side of this game, like beyond being a survival crafter, you know, most of what I just described to you, you're probably familiar with in a lot of survival games, but this whole villager colony management simulation part, it really adds a whole new layer to it. So there's a lot of depth here, and it really is kind of the backbone of the game. So every villager has their own name, preferences, along with strengths and weaknesses via the game's perk system. Some will prefer working at night. Some will prefer getting a little more sleep. There's even certain NPCs who prefer working longer hours. They'll also have certain seasons that they enjoy or not, things they are scared of, or things they are fortified and brave against. Villagers will also often come with a few professions that they initially already excel at, although any villager can do any task that you ask of them. Some will start out a few steps ahead. Maybe they're a better logger, or better hunter, or better gathering stones. But yeah, they can all do any task. In fact, villagers doing tasks is kind of a big chunk of what this game is. You are summoning in villagers constantly, picking the ones that you like best, and then having them help you build your empire. This really, beyond that layer of survival game, is a village building and tribe management simulator. In fact, I would say that like at least half of my playtime has been spent shuffling NPCs around to different tasks depending on what I need, while also helping them get the things that they need to complete those tasks, or adjusting their surroundings or schedule to keep them happy. Let me just lay this out for you specifically. The NPCs that you recruit, they can do literally anything that you yourself could and would do in a survival game like this. They'll go around chopping down trees, gathering food and collecting rocks, bringing all of those items to storage locations. They will hunt livestock. They will defend your village from invading enemies. They will tend to the fire and cook your food. They will till, plant, water, and harvest crops. They'll construct any building that you place down the template for. You summon a villager, set them to a task, and then away they go. And usually this involves doing like many layers of different things. Even just the builders, like when you set, and when a new NPC joins your tribe, they start out default as a builder, and what that involves is going around to any templates that you've placed down for any buildings, any huts, any production or gathering facility, any storage, any defenses, whatever, anything that you've placed down the template for, builders will just start working on it. So what they'll do is they will first walk over and level out the ground, and then they will set the foundation, going out to collect whatever logs, twigs, rock, or rope that are needed. They will manually bring those items from wherever they found them. Maybe they find them out in the woods, in a field, or in one of your various storage facilities if you have it stockpiled. They'll get those resources, bring them back to where you place down the building, and then construct it themselves. And then after they finish, say you put down a shelter, they bring everything over, they level the land, they lay the foundation, they build the foundation, they build the rest of the shelter, they bring the resources for the shelter, they build that. Once that's finished, they'll just go around doing out whatever other building projects that you had out there. And in that process, if they are missing anything from completing their task, what they'll actually do is they'll walk over to you with an exclamation mark above their head. Interacting with them will then tell you exactly what it is they're missing. In fact, oftentimes a lot of NPCs like needed me to make more rope for them because you need rope for a lot of the buildings, or to chop down some higher tier resources because I upgraded something from tier 1 to tier 2 and they needed the next level of resource, but none of my other NPCs had gathered them yet. So then I went out, got it, brought it back to the NPC, and you'll literally like drop the resource they ask for, and then you'll watch them pick it up and carry it over to their destination. It's really, really cool. Now, beyond picking and choosing the tasks that you want the NPCs in your village to do, you also have to decide each villager's individual schedule, setting the hours that they are working, resting, and sleeping. Now, every time you summon in a new villager, they're going to start with a default layout of sleep, leisure, and work time. But then, depending on their preferences, because every NPC has their own perks, the things they like and dislike, depending on those, you're going to make tweaks and adjustments to the NPCs individually. Some of them will love being awake at night, in which case you will flip their sleeping and waking schedule from that of the rest of the tribe. And this is actually really nice to do because if you try to mix like 50-50 daytime and nighttime workers in your tribe, you can just have people working 24/7. It's their preference though. I'm not doing anything hazardous here. They literally they want to be awake at night, okay? All the while, you're also trying to maintain their happiness, keeping their moods at high levels. This will go up or down depending on if their preferences and desires are being met, if they feel overworked, underslept, whatever. Sometimes NPCs feel like they're getting too much sleep. They get sleep anxiety and you need to cut those hours back a few times. You make those tweaks and tunes, raising and lowering things here and there, and that's going to adjust their mood in either a positive or negative direction, which the game tells you directly. It'll literally say, hey, the mood is slightly decreasing. They feel like they're not getting enough leisure time, so you just give them some more leisure time. Awesome, rock and roll. And this will constantly adjust based on circumstances as well as things occur with the game, as events, the weather patterns, enemies come into the vicinity, all sorts of stuff will adjust the NPC's moods, and you'll have to react accordingly. All right, so you started the game, you did all the steps that I mentioned up into building your first shelter, the Eye of Odin, you summon your first villager. What does it look like from there? Well, you pretty much just are in tandem getting more villagers and continuing to build up and add to your village. For every new villager that you add, you will need to make a new shelter because they need a place to sleep. And then you keep expanding your base, adding new stations, setting up automation and production. You'll want to put down like rain collectors and water wells because as they work, they get thirsty, they have to fill their hydration. They will go to these themselves in order to deal with that. But yeah, set up a rain collector and water well. That's going to give your NPCs a place to go when they get thirsty. You're You're also going to place down a woodcutters and stonecutters pit. This is where NPCs, once you assign them to it, they'll chop down trees and they'll bring all of the individual components that they get while chopping down a tree, putting them in their own buckets for those other NPCs to then come by and get when they need it for constructing or crafting or whatever else. Stonecutters pit, same thing for stone. The gatherer's pit, this is really important. This is where all of your initial food stuff goes. NPCs, just as when they get thirsty, they will get hungry, and oftentimes like they'll wake up in the morning and they'll all go to the gatherer's pit and pick from the basket whatever food that either you yourself or the NPC that you assign to the gatherer's pit happen to put in each of the baskets. You'll want a workshop pit. This is where you can set an NPC to craft materials, tools, and higher tier weapons. You'll want to put down a farm pretty early on, and you really want to start growing flax as soon as possible, as it's a pretty big bottleneck in the game. You need a lot of flax to do a lot of things. It's also good to put down an outhouse, which increases NPC happiness, as well as giving you compost to use for your farming, a hunter's hut, and then this process keeps on going. You move and keep upgrading things. You get better housing, there's a magic system, you get better storage facilities, you set up defenses, putting barriers around and watchtowers for archers to shoot out of. There's also decorative items to add a nice touch to your humble abode. And then beyond this process of building up and expanding your village and getting more villagers and setting them to do tasks and managing them and then just growing, there are also events. You'll get things like the blood moon, and this happens pretty early in the game. Some nights you're going to be attacked by enemies. They'll be like zombies, skeletons, and woodland creatures. While this is happening, your NPCs will wake up startled and they will help you in defending, or any NPCs that you have up at night are also good for this. There's also weather and seasons, so besides there being a day-night cycle, you got weather patterns. It's going to rain sometimes, other times it'll get extra windy. Both of these things will have an impact on your villagers as well as yourself. It also moves through the 4 seasons, starting in summer and then moving into fall, winter, and spring. These seasons come with their own things to consider. You're going to have to manage temperature, wetness, when things get really dry, having to do extra watering, and all of this impacts your crops as you would probably expect. So that's like the basic overview over this game. Again, think survival crafting game set in the Viking era that's also got like a heavy layer of managing and growing your tribe and having them help you and expand your village. It's pretty neat. Now, as mentioned, there have been a lot of updates since release, so I want to run through those to give you a brief idea of what they have added since the game first came out. Update number 1, which was in August 2024, introduced custom game mode with a bunch of flexible difficulty options, including a peaceful option for a relaxed playthrough or tougher challenges with higher enemy density and difficulty. They also introduced the outhouse as well as the beauty pit, metal parts collector, and spiky walls for stronger defenses. Then update number 2 in October, this had a farming overhaul with crop scheduling and automatic rotations, a militia system plus the horn, which help bolster your village defenses. Caves get improved as well with torches and defeatable crawler dens, and they added Steam cloud saves with this update as well. Update 3 in November of 2024 added one of the most requested features, dedicated servers along with in-game chat. They also added terraforming tools with the road planner and path maker. You can place down roads for more efficient movement through the world on your island, going from one point to another. They also had a big visual upgrade here with new shaders, materials, and lighting. In December, they had the Yule update, just a fun seasonal update with a whole bunch of festive decorations, along with improvements to bloomery, patrol routes, and the warehouse system. And then in February 2025, they added the forester system that made trees a renewable resource along with iron, really like this one. They also effectively made nearly all resources infinite so that you wouldn't be running out in a playthrough, and a big rework to the cave system for improved exploration. In March, the game got a Steam Deck update optimizing it for the platform. Also in March came update number 5. Here they added the outpost system along for sub-settlements and decentralized village management. Also introduced the lake biomes, the first new major biome added to the game post-release, along with expanding building options with the new thatch structures and pies. Then update number 6 in May, this added a research system for new weapons via looted relics. Armorsmith building introduced for gear upgrades. Bombs got reworked to clear previously unremovable rocks. There are new buildings, including the lookout and proud chieftain's house, and implemented implemented a party system where villagers can now follow you into battle and carry resources alongside you. Then update 7 this past June added the smoker pens, enabling players to raise them and produce milk and craft cheese at the cheesemaker. Also a complete happiness system rework, making villagers' moods more impactful. There's now smarter, riskier hunter behavior, 2 new armor sets, and a bunch of U upgrades, performance boosts, and bug fixes. And then finally, in August 2025, there was an update that added job-based clothing colors, so villagers now kind of look like the role they're fulfilling. Any villagers chopping down trees are now going to be wearing green garb, for example. Vegetation restoration with shovels to reduce barren patches around build sites. They added a settlement log to track key village events so you don't miss out on anything. New longhouse furniture and decorative items like ivy fences and arches, improve villager behavior, and a bunch of performance optimizations. So yeah, as mentioned, quite a few new updates and enhancements to the game since its initial release. It's just been a really interesting, unique, different kind of survival game, and I've enjoyed my time with it. That just about does it for our look at Aska. Once again, if you are interested in checking out the game for yourself, we got links available below. They are going to be running a discount on the game with 40% off during the Steam Autumn Sale, making it even a better time to check it out. Thank you once again for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.